There came a time when you decided to say goodbye to the global business, and then one day suddenly you woke up and said, let me just get into a new venture.
I've lived the life of an entrepreneur. SJS, which is my company, is listed. So that was getting a little monotonous. When that internal yearning stops, that is when I decided saying, no, I think it's time to go. Telling you is, whatever you do in life, don't chase money. And I thought, no, let me just invest into startups.
Mr. Srini Vitoba. Srinivasan, popularly known as Srini, is a serial entrepreneur. Today, if you look at Shark Tanks, the Shark Tank in India, if you look at, it has glamorized the whole world of startup. Is it supporting the youngsters today in the country, or is it not going in our favor?
I'm not a fan of Shark Tank. It might surprise you because what is that message that is going out there? Somebody says, no, the idea is good, no, I will cut a check. No, I need at least 20%. Equity. I don't know, Gaurav, if you know, equity is a costly capital. Do not dilute your equity for working capital.
Do not dilute your equity for working capital. I think that one statement is worth $1 million.
I use a lot of gut to invest, but today, the good part is so many of the youngsters want to just start because everybody has a flamboyant idea. But at the end of the day, being theoretical and being an entrepreneur, we struggle with scale. If only there can be hand-holding. So that is why I tell startups, guys, go to people who have done that and got out of it. Then get these people for scale.
Now, as an entrepreneur, you could get into packaged water as well. Why did you choose to take that longer path?
In everything, water touches humanity. From an impact point of view, when you see, that is when you realize, that why did I start this whole Jiva venture? A Srini or a Krishna alone cannot solve it. We need to wake up as a society. At Jiva, this is a combination of Apple and Tesla for the future in water. This is a big future, right?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the podcast, the xMonks Drive. I'm your host, Gaurav Arora, and today we have a very special guest, Mr. Srini Vitoba. Srinivasan, popularly known as Srini, is a serial entrepreneur. Somebody who started his journey from a garage. Literally, he started his journey from a garage to becoming a global OEM to the automobile companies worldwide. At one point in time, he decided to hang up his boots, and then suddenly he woke up to a mission that he would like to bring clean, energized water to the last village in the country and provide that access to that water worldwide. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a deeper dive and listen to the inspiring story of Srinivasan. Let's try and understand what goes in the mind of an entrepreneur when he decides to create a global mission. Let's take a dive. Hey Srini, how are you doing? Such a pleasure having you here once again.
My pleasure. I'm doing brilliant. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And it has always been a pleasure interacting with you, knowing your journey from where you started, from literally from a garage and where you are today. It has been an inspiring journey. What kept you going?
I don't know how to. So actually, I've been struggling to answer this question. This keeps coming up. To me, I think defining life. That's how I see it. I'm definitely not ignoring there are no out of college, starting in a garage, and moving forward. Building a global venture is no easy thing. But when I just reflect upon myself, I'm just seeing that what have I actually done, right? So then comes the metric, what are you measuring yourself against? If it's money, I think it was way back. I think God's grace, there's enough. But I think something purposeful, which gets into some kind of a deeper philosophy. I think most of us get in there, and that is where I'm seeing myself. To say, what is the purpose of this whole life? And to me, maybe we'll be discussing this, but when you leave this body and go, have we even just done something, not even society, to the universe, just to leave this intact?
Yeah.
Are areas that like,
Yeah, yeah. In fact, Srini, I remember our conversation a couple of years back, right, where you spoke about that there came a time when you decided to say goodbye to the global business, the global venture that you created with your co-founders at that point in time. And at that point in time, you hung up your boots. And then one day suddenly you woke up and said, let me just get into a new venture. And now today you run one of the most successful companies called Jiva Water. And that's a very untapped terrain you have gotten yourself into. What made you to get what I mean, what was the reason that you got into this shift for yourself?
I remember when I was getting out of my job, 3-year job as a medical representative, that's my early years. Got out and decided to move to Bangalore. So I'm just saying bye to my parents. I'm at the doorstep. So my dad came up, and I still remember this. And I quote this in a lot of colleges where I talk. So I said, he came and said, I don't know what exactly you're going to do and what you're going for to Bangalore. But all that I'm telling you is, whatever you do in life, don't chase money. Yeah, just do whatever you're doing sincerely, and money will happen. But it was huge in terms of its intensity. Today, thinking backward is no means a small feat. And today, post my selling though, is today SJS, which is my earlier company, is listed. So, but why did I decide to leave? Right? When I actually did that and I told this to my close friends, all of them like, seriously?
What are you up
I
to?
said, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
I mean, how on earth did you take this decision? Leaving has no. Sometimes you say leave in the high. So I'm a tennis fan. So I've been a big fan of Bjorn Borg, right? So he says the day he lost his Wimbledon at his peak, he retired. But the space at the top is a little funny. It's not for a guy like me. You're just reviewing a few people, and after that, you really don't have much to do. I'm saying hands-on.
Yeah.
Can you do something?
Yeah.
So that was getting a little monotonous. When that internal yearning stops, that is when I decided saying, no, I think it's time to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then coming to that important point, I like this. So for me, life's definition is expect the unexpected. So for me, I've lived the life of an entrepreneur. And I thought, no, let me just invest into startups. And so actually, core at my heart, I'm a Bharatiya, Bharat. And when actually Modi ji came up and said, Bharat.
Make in India.
So actually Krishna,
Yeah.
Whom we are going to talk about, also used to say Bharat way before.
Yeah.
And suddenly I'm saying it's Bharat everywhere. Somewhere I think we have lost a self-esteem. Too much of brain drain.
Yeah.
Maybe the brand value of a Bharat per se was gone.
I think slowly and steadily it's coming back.
It is coming back,
Yeah.
exactly. So that is a good part of actually, we built 1992, just about 4 years or 5 years into starting. We were very small. I remember, we did our first export, to Singapore. And we did a packaging saying made in India with pride by SJS.
Wow.
Then, 92. And
Not
that's
only
not-
made in India, but made in India with pride.
Yes. So it gave us satisfaction. And that was my yearning. So I've invested about 12 or 13 companies.
And that's where you are involved with so many startup companies today in the country.
Oh, yeah. That's another gig altogether.
That's another conversation,
Yes,
I'm
yes,
sure.
yes,
Just taking a dip into this part, Srini, today if you look at Shark Tanks, the Shark Tank in India, if you look at, I think it has glamorized the whole world of startup. Because of which there are so many youngsters are diving in the complete world of startup? Is it supporting the youngsters today in the country, or is it not going in our favor?
You actually, I think, hit a nerve center. The answer is yes and no, actually. But I'll tell you the no part. The no part is I'm not a fan of Shark Tank.
Okay.
It might surprise you because I think there is, of course, wherever there is glamour, behind the glamour, I think the world is invisible.
Yeah.
Reason why their cousins, all youngsters, were like, no, today, no, I want to see Shark Tank. But of course, I don't burst their bubble. But the point is, what are we actually trying to propagate? I've just watched a few episodes. This whole there are people watching. It is like a film, right?
Yeah.
So there are so many youngsters watching. What is that message that is going out there? Somebody says, yeah, the idea is good. I will cut a check for, 10 lakh ke liye I will give 20, no, I need at least 20%.
Yeah.
Equity. I don't know, Gaurav, if you know, equity is a costly capital.
Yeah.
It's a
Tell me
very
more
costly-
about that when you're saying equity is a costly capital. I think that one statement is worth $1 million. Why do you say so?
Multi.
Yeah.
So, okay, let me give you an example. One of the startups I invested. So, Angel, right? So he comes and tells me, he gave me his calculations and said, no, I need about 3 crores. So I went into some detail. And I said, why do you need 3 crores, man? You need only 75 lakhs. And, rest can come later if at all it's required. And you'll become cash positive soon. So then he said, no, sir, and he showed me something. And a lot of that was working capital, which when he hit revenue will get taken care of. You don't, so to a youngster, what he needs, to me, this is a fundamental thing he needs to know. Do not dilute your equity for working capital.
Do not dilute your equity for working capital.
I'll make it little more easier.
Yeah.
So supposing, you're giving me 100 rupees today, and let's say I give you 10 rupees interest, 10% interest. So which means 1 year later, 110 rupees, 3 years later, 130 rupees, right? This is what your money would have fetched you. And you've given it happily. Now the 100 rupees, you're telling me that you give me 20% of your company, and 3 years later, I made it a 100 crore company. I'm just exaggerating.
Yeah.
Right? So 100 crore, forget 100 crores, let's say 1 crore, right? So 1 crore, 20%. First is 1 crore is revenue. Let's say 1 crore is valuation. So 1 crore valuation, 20% is 20 lakhs. So your 100 rupees becomes 20 lakhs.
Yeah.
Why would I ask you to give me equity? So you need to educate people the value of equity.
I think that's what is not happening.
That is not happening. And also the way in which it is glamorized, it's extremely on the top. Of course, in a Shark Tank, I do understand. During the episode only you see so much, there must be a lot of background. But not really, Gaurav. I have seen close to 500 startups.
I'm sure.
Yeah. And there was a time so the first 1 year, I had to see 100 startups for me to manage investing in one. So you go deeper is where the chinks fall.
Where
So-
you realize how things are.
Absolutely. And actually, I created my own. So 100 to 1, it's not possible to continue. Then I had to put my own filters to get it to 25. But then 25 to 1. But end of the day, being theoretical and being an entrepreneur, is where the difference is. I use gut.
Yeah.
I use a lot of gut to invest. And that is how all my 12 companies were picked up. So this is the biggest challenge with the way. But the yes part of it, the good part of it, is that I've always said people need to aspire. We are a land of wisdom. So if there is an interesting comparison between India and Israel. We are both jugaad. right?
Both India and Israel.
Yeah. But Israel managed to understand Jugaad to scale beautifully. We struggle with scale. There is a sense of fear, there's a sense of complacency,
Got it.
all of that. But today, the good part is so many of the youngsters want to just start because everybody has a flamboyant idea. If only there can be hand holding. Again, I'm very careful. Who is the advisor in your journey? Now, the advisor, I'm being careful about this, and I've thought through this when I'm saying this. I personally believe a CEO cannot be a mentor at an early stage, with all due regards. They can be great mentors at scale. But at early stage, you should have put your 1 rupee into the business. The pain and the way your mind changes is very big in the way you
Yeah,
shape
that
a
you can't
business.
even understand.
You can't understand. So you should have fallen down, dirtied your hands, and for
Yeah.
that is how we know it works.
Yeah.
So that is why I tell startups, guys, go to people who have done that and got out of it.
Yeah.
Then get these people for scale.
I know
think that is the best.
exactly what you're saying, right? I know exactly what you're saying. So, shifting the gears from here, Srini, it reminds me of what Steve Jobs said once, that while you're walking ahead, you'll be able to have the dots, but only when you look back, you'll be able to connect the dots. And I believe that life gives you defining moments. Possible for you to share those defining moments, those dots that you started to plot way back. And when you looked back from where you are today, you were pleasantly surprised. Shucks, man. I think that's the reason why all these seeds were sown. And this is where I have the flower blooming in front of me.
Oh yeah. I think that is like very close to me. That statement connecting the dots back.
Yeah.
And in my life, it has always been like that. This is a very interesting story, and you got to enjoy it. So, while I'll touch back upon the Jiva water. So Jiva water is happening. So let's say in the 2010 time, between 2010 2012, I don't remember
Got it.
the year exactly. So I was the president of the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce, for South India. So during then, in my tenure, we had done a session with a fairly big name in the global arena to give a talk for a college group. And we had to be there for a curtain raiser. We were about 20-25 CXOs. So this guy in his own flamboyant self, was saying, so all of you are CXOs and you guys are all caught up in your world of, work. Can you just write one few lines on 10 years from now? What do you think from deep inside? Forget about work. What would you have wanted to do or change? So I'm writing. So I've written by 2020. I'm just kind of quoting by and large, what I've written.
Yeah.
That I would like to provide clean water by 2020 to every village in India.
Wow.
Right? I've written this.
This was 2010-11 you're talking about.
2010, 2012 times.
Okay.
I think that was probably it just came from inside. You wrote.
And you wrote it.
Came out and I forgot about it totally. I don't even know, 1 hour later if I remembered it. Fast forward. So now all the Jiva water is happening. 2 years ago, one day, the house cleaning session was going on. So my wife had laid out a whole lot of my stuff on the bed and said, take a look at what do you want to keep and what do you want to throw. And I told her, all of this you can throw. Off. Evening, I'm back from office and I saw some 3 books, diaries, still lying on the bed. Then I was asking her, saying, why have you kept this? And she said, no, do you remember this? I said, yeah, it must be my Indo-American time. And she said, take a look. So I quickly flipped. Then I said, no, I saw some pencil scribbles. I said, not required. These are all my Indo-American chamber times and I don't need it now. Throw it. You don't remember the diary? I said, why? No, no, he said, open it. Now I'm getting curious. He said, what is so great she found something? I'm opening it. And lo and behold, Gaurav, I mean, this, even I was like stunned.
Yeah.
I have written there this line, but I told you, the 2012 clean water villages. And she was like frozen. She said, before throwing, I just wanted to flip. I saw you had written something. I just read it. And she said, I can't believe today you're doing water. But actually, I must now reconnect your first question of saying, expect the unexpected.
I'm sure.
Now, this, I'll tell you why. This takes me, I told you about startups.
Yeah.
But after that comes the story. So I met this gentleman called Krishna, Dr. Krishna Madappa. I have no clue who he is. So we met.
And this was which year?
15 years back.
Okay.
So probably in what? Anyway, the 2010 time frame only must be, right? We meet in a common place, and suddenly this lady there says, no, hey Srini, you're here. Why don't you get your energies measured by Krishna? And there were a lot of people. I didn't understand what she was saying. I looked, some man was standing somewhere.
Measuring energies.
He was, hopefully. So he was just there. And
Yeah.
she said something, and I said, so I didn't question, I just went. So I meet this gentleman. Then it was like a 2 minute. It was like straight, cut to work. Okay. So took the details. So he said, put your fingers in. And then he said, all right, I'll send you your report, tomorrow morning. I came. I actually didn't even know what actually happened. I go. Next morning, I get the report. And the report, I was just falling off my chair. That report delved into my right eye, to your jaw, to your teeth, to your liver, to your every aspect of it, both from the psychological aspect and the physiological aspect. And same thing I was thinking. I said, man, this can't be true. Again, didn't matter, right, wrong, good, bad, ugly. Then I write back to Krishna, just thank you. And I just said, Krishna, I'm super intrigued by what you're doing. I don't even know if you remember the 2 minute conversation
that you had.
But if you have the time, because Krishna lives in the US and he used to keep coming. I said, if you have time before you leave, I want to meet you for half an hour. I said, no agenda. It's a pure coffee discussion. And promptly Krishna, being Krishna, replies and says, let's do it.
Let's have a cup of coffee.
So he talked to me about dedicating his life to approaching our water from its non-linear aspect. I've always been fascinated by water. And having probably seen a lot of movies, where everywhere, you use water to curse or bless. And in all rituals, in all religions, we use water. I said, there must be something important. But as you move, today water becoming a commodity, and suddenly I meet him. And he says he used non-linear aspect and this thing. Then I asked him, saying, no, Krishna, can you just help me understand this at a layman level?
What does that mean when you talk
let us
about
not get
non-linear?
into... Correct. And don't get into all technology. Though I'm a physics student, I didn't want to get into science.
Yeah.
So let's assume that I put you in this room and lock you up. Fair enough. You'll keep getting your food, and then there'll be lights, no phone, no interactions, nothing. So he says, by end of day, where will your energies be, you think? Absolutely. This is going to be way low.
Drained out.
Now, he said you're alive, but you're saying at lowest energy only because there was no interaction. You were just all by yourself, and it was depleting you, right? It was not your nature. Now he said, let's hold it here. Let's go to water. He says, what do you think water wants to do?
Water wants to do.
Yeah, that same reaction is what I had. I said, that's an interesting question. I never thought of it. He said, Srini, we are in the land of Bharat, and we know about the Panchabhutas, the 5 elements of whatever you call it. These are the breathing consciousness that keeps the universe afloat and keeps the universe going.
Wow.
That is how we are all sustained, right?
I'm happy you didn't say water wants to go for a bath.
No, actually, I think in today's parlance, if we want to.
Yeah.
So he said, water always wants to flow. When it flows is when it expresses itself in full bounty, and that is why any of us go near a waterfall and say, wow, you are a
Yeah, there's
sea.
something magical
Correct.
in water. In fact,
Dynamic motion.
I call my daughter Neer. And it all came from the term flow. I really want her to flow always. And of course, my dad used to call my mother Neer. That's where we got her name. So there's a different story, but I know exactly what you've been talking about.
No, but he went on to say, water, this is what it does. Now, just think what we have done to water.
What
We,
we have done
we
to
have
water.
done everything that the water doesn't want. Right? So you have just.
Causing frustration to water.
Absolutely. So
Water must be in depression.
Oh, I just use something else. I said, if at all, the water had, mouth and eyes and ears,
The
it
water will
gives you
start
the
to yell.
choices to
I
question.
know.
So you piped it, you dumped chemicals into it, you just kept messing it up. So what happens is water has still some life left, but it is at its lowest efficiency. How will it perform?
It's becoming a performance issue for a business guy, right?
No, it was no. This had an impact on me, Gaurav. That is why I expect the unexpected, because that night I couldn't sleep. I said, "Damn it! Actually, all your questions got answered. What generally you were thinking about. Suddenly, you come across somebody who was never in life. I thought I'll meet somebody who has measured life energy in water scientifically." Right? And I suddenly am sitting with this man who's just casually telling me, that he's been doing that 35 years. I said, wow. So connecting the dots. And I told him, Krishna, you've been talking about global social impact. And I said, what you're doing is outstanding. The society needs it today. And while all kinds of stuff are being sold, this is the need of the hour. We need to reconnect. 2 days later, and he said, Srini, brilliant what you said. There is no way, I'm going to be able to pull this off myself. He says, no, I don't have the DNA. I'm a scientist. Why don't we do this together? Because you come from that background. And that actually, like, what did you just tell Krishna? I said,
Life is about expecting the unexpected.
yeah. No, but I had to think. I didn't answer. I took a few days. I went back. That is when I said, what does the rest of my life look like? The next phase of my life. That is when I was saying, what is it? I mean, it frustrates me that in this world, when you have so much of science, so much of proof, so much of, researchers, R&Ds and peer-reviewed journals, and you say the soil is not going to survive. What are we doing? Right? And it pains. So I said, today something is there. Somebody has to start. 10 years later, maybe history will be written. But we need to start. And I said, why not? And that is when, after that, I went and said, Krishna, let's do it. And we are doing it today.
So help me understand, what problem is this entrepreneur trying to solve? If you were to share a sentence, what would that be?
Give a sentence. Let me just put my heart out there.
Yeah.
The humankind, the whole race, is staring at an impending catastrophe. Right? We are not talking about anything small when you say that the soil has no life left in it. And I think you would have read articles about the extinction of bees. Yeah. And he says when bees go extinct, mankind will not exist. There's a big theory, right? That catastrophe is what we are staring. And that is what we are trying to solve. We are trying to solve the most major catastrophe. And what we are solving qualitatively and quantitatively, because you are addressing the whole population. And you are addressing every grain of sand. You are addressing every single plant, every single animal. Because water does not differentiate between a multi-billionaire or a trillionaire or a man who's struggling to survive.
With you on
Water
that.
is water.
For nature, everyone is exactly the same. I think nature is the most inclusive that you can expect, you can think of. Oh. If you look at what Srini, you are trying to create through the lens of an entrepreneur, because an entrepreneur understands P&L, an entrepreneur understands balance sheet, and here you are talking about energy, you are talking about water, you are talking about impact. Where does impact, scale, growth business, profitability? How do all these things they connect? How do they come together?
See, actually, there are always two sides to a coin, right? We all know spirituality and size are two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
I think there is enough about it. Same thing. When you're talking about finances, when you're talking about impact, there are two sides to the coin. There is a qualitative aspect, there's a quantitative aspect. P&Ls, financials, balance sheets. Any business, venture, it can be impact oriented, it can be anything. Essentially, it has to be profitable.
Yeah.
These are fundamental tenets of. So you need to do a lot of work. How do you monetize? How do you get into pricing policies? Various things before you can say, yes, it is going to take this long for me to get my head out of water. I'll become cash flow positive and then I'll go. But that is a line, and this connects very, very intricately. It's a separate session actually. But that is imperative. Now, if you don't know how to cleverly, kind of connect both, that is an organization. Now, impact should lead to scale. Now, scale is a different challenge, right? Now, scale will lead to, because scale is impact and creating those, like I told you, jugaad, that innovation is like going free flow. Then comes discipline, right? At scale, it is discipline. So I did great idlis for 100 people. I have to do for 10,000, 100,000. You need discipline. And still manage the quality. So that is scale. Now, from scale comes big commerce. Now, what is that big commerce? Of course, in Jiva parlance, when you're connecting it, like we told, you're talking about a population here. There's a model for it, but that is big commerce. So scale leads to big commerce. Now, what do you do with the money, right? Tomorrow I give you $1 billion. I know you'll be happy, but what do you do with that money?
Yeah, that's a big time question mark.
Correct. So depending on each person, I think it comes back to everybody starts saying, what do I give back? What is that give back is still a $1 billion question. Yeah. That leads to coming back to big commerce. So big commerce will get to impact, and that is the loop.
Got it.
It's a great loop actually.
So impact to scale to
big commerce,
so again back to
impact,
the impact.
because that goes.
So that's how it goes.
Exactly.
Now, as an entrepreneur, you could get into packaged water as well. Why did you choose to take that longer path when you could simply do trading of water? Pick up packaged water and then make sure that it reaches the last village in the country.
So that is where the word impact comes from. But the impact also is very deep. Saying, you feel, right? There's a feeling saying, this something is not all right. Now, from an impact point of view, when you see, that is when you realize, that why did I start this whole Jiva venture? This is today solving such a big problem that the whole aspect of money actually, takes a back seat. Because I should actually quote to you, since we are discussing money here, that it is so I remember reading, I think it was New York Times, if I'm not too wrong. They talked about this lady who had written the article was saying that the next $1 trillion opportunity is in water.
Really?
And your only thing is, to find out what is the big thing. Now I'll come to the question you made on bottled water. It's any water. So let me make you understand this. So I drew a pyramid. I call this a water pyramid, Gaurav. Actually, where we are stuck as a society today, right? So if you just looked at the pyramid, so I just made 3 segments, right? So the top portion, I said H2O, right? Water, molecular level, that's it. Yeah. Then the next band I wrote H and O. It's an atomic level, hydrogen, oxygen.
Yeah.
Then below that, I said the subatomic space, where electrons, protons, all the action is happening. So for me, I've been saying that as a society, we are stuck here on the top, right?
At the surface level.
Surface level.
Yeah, what is taught in our
which is
initial years of chemistry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So today, any common man,
Water is equal to H2O.
is equal to pH, TDS, alkaline. There are some buzzwords that are used, and no one really gets too deep into it. There is, see, I come from, like I said, I'm a science background, so we know, okay, 7 is water, below that is acid, above that is alkali. That is all fine, but that is much deeper, right? So we are stuck there on the top. Now I will go down the bottom. All the energy transfer is happening there, right? So today, I don't know if you know a WhatsApp video by, I think Palki Sharma had talked about it. Plants talk to each other.
Yeah.
And
As if-
suddenly, as if they didn't talk earlier. but the thing is, she did such a nice thing, but the whole world woke up. Everybody is busy saying plants talk to each other.
Yeah.
Scientists discovered. Nature has been doing this for ages, Baba. But you discovered it today, right? So that is what I'm coming to. The entire energy transfer, which is what Krishna was talking about. Life energy in water. We are missing the big aspect. And again, I want to stop here to say you're sweating and you're dirty. So what do? Just go take a bath. You're clean. And let's say there is a saint and a murderer. I'm just making this up. Both took a bath, both became clean. But internally, does it make this is the same? There's a character, there's an aspect. That is the aspect. So why do you meditate? Right? Taking bath is not equal to meditation. So water is that. So when Krishna told me about the journey of water, how it picked up trauma, and then he said, he found a way to restore it in the device. That is what got me connected.
Yeah.
To say, look, this is what it is, right? Opportunity. And Krishna and I, when we are just having this chai pe charcha, he says, Srini, at Jiva, this is a combination of Apple and Tesla for the future in water. This is a big future, right? It's like before 20 years, no mobile phone world. Today's mobile phone is what you're talking about, water. That is what we are addressing, which address quality and the commercial aspect too.
As I was listening to you, where you spoke about the energy that is offered to you by water and the distinction that you created between the packaged water and the water that you have been talking about, the Jiva water, reminds me of a story of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. So Guru Nanak Dev Ji, during one of his travels, he was traveling and he got an invitation to have one of the meals at a king's house, and he very respectfully refused. Now the king got infuriated and he said, "Hey, how dare you? I invited you for a meal and you said no to that, and instead you went to a small house, had your lunch in that hut. Why is that?" So Guru Nanak Dev Ji, in his very respectful, deep, slow voice, and in a very slow manner, he said, "You know what? When I look at the food offered at your place, I see blood. But when I see the food in the house of that small farmer in that hut, I see milk." So I think that's what reminds me while I was listening to you. So Srini, there's so much research that you are doing at Jiva Water. You spoke about trauma in water. Now, where you stand today with all the research that has gone in this subject, what do you think? What are people ignorant about? That it's high time they need to wake up.
Actually, there are a couple of things. One is ignorance. Another one is, how do you put it? The classic herd mentality. So everybody just follows something. Everything over time becomes a buzzword.
Yeah.
So we go to restaurants, right? And we all know finger bowls are given, right? I've been stunned, and till today I'm stunned. I said, you put your hand inside the water. After that, the water has become dirty. How on earth do you just keep continuing to put that? So I said, guys, hold it. Okay, your own personal bathroom, right? I'm going to fill the wash basin that you use with your own dirty water and keep it floating there without sinking it. Will you put your hand there? I know, but isn't that what we're doing? We don't stop to think, right? We this is the problem. We don't stop to think. We just get carried away by that nice napkin. I have a finger bowl, just do that, do this. It's actually fascinating. I'm going to give one more example. We have forgotten outcomes today, right? So I will ask you, you did your primary school too, right? So 6th standard science experiment. What did we do? You do an experiment, so there is an objective, then you follow a method, then there's an outcome. If the outcome satisfied the objective, then the method was right, then you start measuring. Today, I'm not saying, you're only saying, the soil has no life left. The plants are struggling. Human beings everywhere today, water is not all right, water is not all right, and I have skin problem, I have this problem, gut problem, hair problem. And you're still measuring the same thing. Where did the outcome go? Right? Now, this is the blind I'm talking about. We have got blinded, to not, and then we are measuring, we are still doing processes, we're just adding.
How are you solving this challenge? Is it a machine that you're manufacturing? Is it some process water has to undergo? Is it some kind of treatment are you doing?
So before, so let us once again clearly differentiate between purification, which is what we are focusing on. Clean. Okay. So let us say I give you today one water which says clean and one water that says clean plus energy. Which one will you take?
Of course, clean plus energy.
That's what I'm saying. So we are talking about the energy. It is not about mixing minerals. So which is where what analogy?
It's not about mixing minerals.
Exactly. Because I will come back to what we discussed. Nature, there is water. There are 5 elements, but let's take water. How do they interact with each other? You and I don't. I'll start talking Chinese now. Will you understand?
No.
Same thing. So, yeah. So, nature, water, they talk to each other because we just spoke about how plants talk to each other. What did they pick? They picked the frequency and vibration. Now you take a mobile phone. Do you know why a mobile phone was named a cell?
No, not really.
It is named after a biological cell. So actually the biological cell, a mobile cell with its antenna inside. Earlier you used to have those stick antennas. Now the antenna is, you don't even see it. Then it was receiving the signal from the tower. Your biological cell, you know what the antenna is? Water. Water's energy equal to signal strength.
Water energy is equal to signal strength. Wow.
Like a mobile tower.
That's a powerful formula.
Yeah. So your cell, so what is, cell created you, right? One cell from which suddenly, it became Gaurav. How did it multiply? Something is happening, right? So cell communicates in the medium of water. Now, when you are born, all you've successfully done because of the lifestyles and stresses that we do, you're imposing toxins in your cell. And cell naturally wants to throw it. That's its wisdom. Right? But for that you require the tower, the water with the signal strength. That is not there. So in the name of over-purification, you've taken away the life source. And you're drinking water without its signal strength. The cell is not able to communicate.
Yeah.
I said, Jiva water is not doing any magic, guys. I think Jiva water is just helping the cell to just throw the muck out so it can manifest its own wisdom correctly.
As much as this water appears clean, but my eyes are not manufactured to pick up the right frequency of the energy if the water is vibrating at.
I will actually put the same question back to you in a different form.
Yeah.
I will keep 3 glasses here. One like this and 2 other things looking similar, but one is hydrochloric acid and the other one is, an alkali. How will you find it? Because I'm telling you it is water, after drinking you will find it.
Yeah.
That is where the challenge is today. So coming back, we can get.
It's not water.
So actually it is not. It is not. Because I have to tell this interesting thing. So we have a global advisory board at Jiva. And I have created the global advisory board very thoughtfully, which has all domains addressed. So one of them is a doctor. Is a Dr. T.M. Srinivasan. Doctor meaning a PhD. T.M. Srinivasan, who was ex-IIT prof. And he's been Dean of SVSA. So I don't know if you know SVSA is Dr. Nagendra who's running it. and he is the, I think even Modi ji has referred to SVSA, and SVSA is running Ayush. And SVSA incidentally is also running their formal experiment or documentation on Jiva water, because to ultimately take it to the government level and to the India level. These are the aspects that are going on. So people who are getting involved are trying to look at this seriously.
I'm sure. So how are we handling this challenge? As I mentioned, is there a product or?
So actually, this is the Jiva, Gaurav. So there has been a question to me saying that, so what is this? So what are we doing here?
Yeah.
So it's nothing. So whatever water you're drinking, just let it pass through the device and drink it. Okay, how long does it take to come out? No, it just comes out.
Yeah.
Normal. What are you telling here? Is it some tube you're showing and then, some 3 minute may, you get some water and it's changed. So we come from the times when we were hearing pocket transistors, and today you're operating your house door lock sitting in the US with your mobile phone. Have you ever thought how? And if it takes more than 2 seconds, you're getting frustrated. It's too slow. What is happening?
Yeah.
So this is water. That's how nature has always been. So it doesn't. So we talked about
what you're saying is the moment water passes through this device, it purifies itself.
Again. Delete, purify. Purify, physical. We will use the term purify is equal to physical.
It re-energizes itself.
Stores the life energy, which is what your cell requires. The signal strength, let us say signal strength is coming back. That is what it's doing. How long does it need? How long does it take for your mobile to catch up? So we spoke about the trauma in water. So I don't have to get into that anymore. So that water has trauma. Now let us say you are today having a very stressful day, or you are having some stress in the last few days. What do you do normally?
First thing I'll just go and have a glass of water.
So
I'll go and sleep for some time. I'll go and play with my daughter. I will just go and do something that energizes me.
Perfect. So let me just come to the playing with your daughter. Playing with your daughter or meeting that old friend of yours. And then, you just told everything to him and you're feeling so free,
That's it.
so light. What happened? You didn't do anything physically. It just lightened you. That burden came out. It is energy. It is coming out in some form.
Yeah.
Right? It makes you feel light. So essentially water, when it interacts in certain fields, it negates the trauma automatically. And that is what Krishna did. So for example, in the Yami, we call this the lingam point, if you can see this, right? So this point becomes the lingam point. It will go in detail, the lingam, yoni, that is the creation, all of that. Yeah. So that zone is packed with biominerals. Okay. Now the biominerals which have that energy field, which is all Krishna's research, these energy fields have that power. So I don't know if you know about Spatika. There is lingam.
Kind of a stone.
So actual worshipping the lingam, it's called Spatika lingam. Yeah. Then there is a saligrama. A lot of idols are made of, so it's very powerful, the energy that they radiate. That is the power of the biofields. You need to be extremely, diligent. So these energies are the ones that are here. They create a great energy field, and as water passes through, it negates the trauma. It doesn't need proof. I'm coming back to outcome. So, but once you became light, I'll come back to you. Once you became light, now you are just feeling normal. You just want to do your normal activities, right? Before becoming a Gaurav, wants to be in action again. How are you just feeling able to do your normal work? Like that, water loves to flow. We spoke about it.
Yeah.
So in this, all these small cutie spaces, water begins to feel natural. So it is just doing its work. It's just not rotation. It is about just the way it is, which Krishna talks about, the tumbling, the spins and various things. Now it is saying, okay, man, I'm back in my normalcy. The last point, that is the deep IP, is the point of Shunya. What is meditation? What do you aspire for in meditation? We all talk about connection, right? The difference between noise and signal, right? If there is so much noise, you're not able to hear what I'm saying. But if you're connected well, how much ever noise you're able to understand. That is what you attempt in meditation. This is that nature's language. That frequency and vibration is deeply encoded here. This water, back in its natural form, free of trauma, touches the space. Boom! It's in its natural form. It is a deep realization. Wow. 1 attosecond. The water comes out as natural water. But now, I said, don't have to believe me. He said, even I was like this, maybe 10 years back. But I'm saying, please, please, please see the outcome. Now, outcome is changing, and I will tell you this.
And what kind of outcomes can one expect?
So actually, again,
Can I hold this?
So please. So,
wow.
Outcome wise, okay, so from a human being, right, plant to an animal, I was addressing a group of about 100 people, in Coimbatore, and talking about Jiva water. And suddenly, one guy put up his hand. He said, "Sir, can I share a feedback?" And I was like, "Sure." And I didn't know what was going to come, because those were early days. He said, "Sir, I am a ranitidine dependent guy. Ranitidine used for hyperacidity, gastritis." He says, "Today, I don't touch ranitidine anymore." I mean, that to me was massive. I really, but today, I have so many of them talking about gut health result. And gut is the seat of everything, right? Migraine, 5-6 people till date who have personally told me that they're not getting migraine. And you know how severe migraines are. So it is, I'm not saying, I'm not getting into the medicine world. It is just about saying that drink good water. Keep yourself, wellness is more important, than cure. IVF centers are opening left, right, and center, right? Sperm count issues are there, fertility issues, all kinds of issues, PCOS, PCOD. Okay, I don't want to get into the names and definitions. There is this person who I know well. He comes to me, and I didn't even know that he had got a Yami, the device, and he was drinking Jiva water. He told me, he said, he had same thing, he was also having gut issues, and then he was on a pill every day, and that stopped on his own. But the other thing he told me, he said, just because it's you and I there, I'm telling you this. He said, my virility has gone up. He has not done any sperm count test, but he said, I can make it out. And this was also testified by a 95-year-old gentleman. All I'm saying that this helps life. That's it. At that level, this is the power.
That brings me back to what you said in between. When you spoke about the impact and scale and commerce and impact. With this, Srini, I'm just wondering, where are you heading towards? What is the vision of Jiva Water? What do you see happening in years to come?
I generally don't do, as a person, I don't do anything at surface. I don't do anything that is frivolous and for the sake of doing, unless it is some pastime stuff. So when we did this, actually we really put out these 2 lines, not just some plastic lines. We meant what we wrote. It took some time between me and Krishna. And the stated vision, I'm talking about stated vision, which is my deep vision too, is in a decade, let's say 2035, we want Jiva water to become the default standard of water in the world.
Wow.
In everything, water touches humanity.
Wow.
And now what impact, scale, and everything is all connected. But I want to just go one step deeper, because we talked about big commerce, and then again, what does it do? We created a few bullet points for us as a deeper vision or a mission to accomplish as we grew into time. One is to get people and then revive, restore, get back to our roots, to understand water commodity is not a commodity. But more importantly, at some point, we want to bring this understanding of water to primary education.
So it's like, can I expect Jiva Water University?
I don't know if you pulled it off the air or you read one of my bullet points. So actually, it is a one-line item. So the 4th line item, because way into future, is at some point we do want to set up a water university. Get people to understand that water is way beyond the understanding that you have.
While just listening to you, I'm finding it so inspiring is not the right word. Of course, I'm inspired. I think I'm finding it so satisfying. I'm finding it so fulfilling that deep down I know that whatever I'm doing it for the country, I'm doing it for the people that I'm surrounded with. And what I'm creating or what I'm a part of that is getting created through me would continue to sustain once I would not be there in the physical form. Srini, a very fundamental transactional question is, how are you going to make it happen? I know that this question is not doing justice to what I want to ask you.
I know where you're getting.
What I mean.
But first, I think I did my job. I'm a fan of Kamal Hassan. Right? All of you know Kamal Hassan, obviously. One of his interviews, I remember that interview well. So this girl is asking him, saying, it was after that Vishwarupa movie.
Yeah.
He said, sir, how is it that movie after movie, you're able to give such great performances? No, not great performance. He said, no, such great hits. And he said, what have I done? And I was also trying to listen. So he said, see, actually, if I got people around me, the people who are connected in this whole thing, to get inspired with the kind of vision I have, I think I've done my job. And he tells me an example. I'll tell you what. He said, okay, so in Vishwarupam, I said, I want to have the Kathak scene. Now I said, for the Kathak scene, obviously, for me, it is no compromise. I want Briju Maharaj to come. Now for him to reach Briju Maharaj is not an issue. So he reached and then they both are sitting and talking. And he says in his own words that I was talking to him and I said, I want this sequence and you are the exponent, I want you to do it. And Briju Maharaj, I'm just cutting it short. He got so excited. He said, sure, Kamal, I'll do it. I'll give you 10 different possibilities and you choose. And Kamal Hassan says, no.
You choose.
No. He said, I'll just give me 2. He said, you are the exponent. You give. Imagine just that one statement, so much of, it's not pressure, it is the onus. You own it. Then you're just doing your best and you're giving 2 and he says, I'll pick 1. He said, same thing I did with Shankari Sonloy for music. So coming to Jiva, I call it, we need to be collective torchbearers in the society. And what does that mean?
Yeah.
A Srini or a Krishna alone cannot solve it. We need to wake up as a society, stop clapping at just talks, and there is something that is happening. Just hone into it. So I take this whole population just broadly into 2 pieces. One is the big population, but on the top are the people who are able to influence the society. Sheerly because of the kind of work they have done in their respective domains. It can be sports, it can be anything. Right? I'm a big fan of Roger Federer. Right? I mean, to me, they're all icons. But
they are.
Yeah. So when people of that level talk something, then immediately it is followed. It is at least taken seriously. Now, this is what I call collective torch wearing. If this, what we are doing today, Gaurav, I want the whole world to stand up and I will tell you, you tell me, how long does it take if just one person of that stature is able to start talking, I think your job is done. Yeah. Let's do this. It is beyond money, right? I'm saying every single person at the top band is also a human being. All of us live, all of us die.
Yeah.
Right? If this becomes, because everybody is talking about contribution, and here we are. Come. Let's take it. Let's take it to the world.
Thank you so much, Srini. I think it was an absolute delight having you.
Oh, I must say this.
And may life continue to flourish, and may we continue to drink energized water with life energies.
It was so amazing talking to you. So since I belong in the non-tech era, I'm just trying to understand all these things. So this podcast itself is new for me. But to me, we were 2 of us just exchanging. And as you asked questions, I just got it flowing because that is what, you're deeply standing for. Oh, it was indeed such a great opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you. What a conversation it was, wasn't it? For me, there were so many takeaways. For me, it was like listening to Mother Teresa and Elon Musk at the same time. For me, it was about creating an impact. It was about scaling up the business, also talking about the commerce at the same time, making sure that the overarching arc is around impact. What were your key takeaways? If you were to write a review, if you were to write a summary around this conversation, what would be the top 2 points that you would write? Ladies and gentlemen, if you love this conversation, do share that with your friends and your family members with whom you think would get benefited. And please take time to rate us, review us, follow us on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. And I look forward to meeting you next week with yet another interesting conversation. Till then, take care of yourself, stay tuned, stay hydrated, and I'll see you next time.